I shall sit upon the throne of heaven, ascending above the stars, the clouds, planets, and every fabric of existence. None shall be as high as I. Neither Primus or Unicron shall be God in my eyes. I, Megatronus Convoy, shall arise as God.
Hello everyone, today we take a look at the Obscure Titans' final episode of the Megatronic Legacy writing series, this one being the antagonist named after its namesake, Megatronus Convoy, the Fallen, Megatronus Prime, the Fallen Prime, and the Prime of Unicron, or was. Either way you put it, he is the fallen angel of the Transformers canon who betrayed Primus to start a rebellion, which led to his severe downfall alongside Unicron. It's going to be a bit of an informative episode, but to get the segments out of the way, we'll go into the story of Lucifer, preferably Paradise Lost by John Milton, Dante's Inferno, The Fallen, preferably his Titan's return form, the conception of the character in this continuity, Shirai Ryu Crusaders, President Conker, and the finalization. There will be major spoilers up ahead for the 2010 video game, so you may skip to the conception segment to check out the game later if you wish. This is where all things come falling down. While the universe was formed, there were angels in the heavenly court. Among them was Lucifer, the morning star. Being God's perfect creation, Lucifer represented everything that is perfection to the maximum level. From head to toe, he's covered in every precious jewel. But this perfection got to Lucifer's head. Thinking he was not only the greatest angel in God's creation, he thought of himself to be superior to God. The creation of Adam and Eve is where his pride led to envy. He hated the human race so much that he comes to hate God. This prideful angel sets up a rebellion, a third of the heavenly court siding with him. But this led to his failure, not only losing his place in paradise, but also being banished from it. Some sources, specifically Paradise Lost and Divine Comedy, suggest that Lucifer went to hell the moment he fell from heaven. However, the Bible never stated such a thing. However, it did mention that Lucifer will end up in hell during the Day of Judgment. Now, going by the name of Satan, meaning adversary in Hebrew, or the devil, he seeks to destroy the human race, but not by the way Unicron would. No. He uses temptation and persuasion to get them to reject God. By having Eve convinced to eat the forbidden fruit, she and Adam sinned against the Lord, thus dooming Eden and the earth. Throughout biblical texts, Satan appears here and there, though more of an adversary is sent by God to test us as to whether we're faithful or sinful. In the New Testament, Satan is depicted as the evil one whom God warns us to not fall towards. Ironically, John Milton depicted Satan as an anti-hero who wanted to break away from God's control to be his own, something in the lines of his issues with the King of England at the time. Satan only gets a small appearance in the Divine Comedy's Inferno near the end of it. He's trapped in the very center of hell, specifically the center of the earth, and chews upon the worst traitors in history with his three mouths, Brutus and Cassius over the assassination of Caesar, and Judas over the persecution of Jesus Christ. In the 2010 video game, Lucifer and Beatrice form a wager to see if Dante returns home safely. Sadly for her, Dante went after someone's wife, originally thought to be the guy's sister. When Dante returned home, he sees Beatrice killed by the man whom is tied to the woman he wooed over in the crusade. Throughout the game, Lucifer taunts Dante with Beatrice in his possession, doing whatever he wished to do to her. This sorrowful knight of the crusade fought through hordes of demons to save Beatrice and escape the netherworld with Virgil's aid. Once he approached closer to the lower rings, Dante managed to cure Beatrice of Lucifer's power. In the end of the game, Dante fought the devil in the center of hell. It's revealed that Lucifer only used Beatrice as bait to get him down there to free him. The devil plans to invade Purgatory and Paradise in his plan for retaliation. His plans were thwarted by Dante as he released souls he redeemed throughout the game, essentially being locked right back into his three-faced form and frozen down instead of being chained back up as he was prior to the final battle. The chains of Judica, if you will. There's a few continuities with the character, but I'll start off with his Dreamwave G1 continuity, then go over his Titan's return form. During the fight between Primus and Unicron, the former created the 13 Primes. Megatronus Prime was originally on his side until the concept of destruction won him over, essentially siding with the Chaos Bringer. Under Unicron's grasp, the Fallen seeks after Primus' body to destroy. However, he was stopped by the other Primes and being sucked into a black hole. It took a while until Optimus and Megatron were lost in a space bridge accident, which freed Megatronus Prime. In the Prime Wars trilogy, Megatronus Prime was hailed as a hero for slaying Unicron with the Requiem blaster, but he and Solus Prime clashed over what to do with the artifact, as the former wished to keep it for himself rather than eradicating it. As they fought, the weapon was accidentally discharged, killing Solus in his grief. Several years after, Megatronus plotted the events in the Combiner Wars and Trypticon's resurrection. He's made attempts to claim the Enigma of Combination and the Matrix of Leadership with these plans. He's recruited Overlord for help and get the Matrix of Chaos. He's went to great lengths to reunite with Solus Prime by obtaining said objects. In an intense battle with Megatron and other Transformers by his side, the Decepticon leader fought to cleanse the Matrix of Chaos. Solus' Spark rebuked Megatronus' actions and dragged him with her, killing him. This dark story begins bright as he enters the battle with Primus against Unicron. The angelic host overwhelmed the Dark God and have him sealed inside a giant asteroid floating somewhere in deep space. This achievement earned his place amongst Primus' heavenly court. As time went by, Luciferia's Convoy saw himself as the greatest angel in the universe, not only having everything in his possession blessed by Primus, but also seeing himself as superior to the Light God, as well as to the Dark God, given his defeat. Luciferia's Convoy is convinced that he is the god of the universe and deserves such title. Primus takes notice of Luciferia's Convoy's arrogance and sent one of his angels to warn him for such a thing. Despite his attempts, they all fell on deaf ears. Once Primus reveals the creation of humans and several others to follow, Luciferius becomes enraged by this news. Not only does he have the feeling of being favored less than those weaker than him, but also a betrayal from the Light God. Before he does anything to accomplish his plan, Luciferius' Convoy journeys to Nibiru to collect Dark Energon. Once he's returned to Cybertron, he took Light Energon and fused them together to himself, being the very first being contaminated by Energon fusion. He feels the powers of both Light and Dark Energon would be enough to trample Primus the same way he did to Unicron without it. Luciferius forms a rebellion with a third of the Heavenly Court by his side to battle. In this fight, Prima Convoy was bestowed the Matrix of Leadership to confront the distorted Convoy. Prima and Luciferius fought furiously as more waves of Energon fusion shook the heavens. But as its intensity progresses, Prima cracked through the weakness the Lightbearer had. His deepened arrogance was tainting the Convoy's mind so much, he violently threw himself all over the heavenly realm. Fragments of the fusion's powers were frying Luciferius' mind. He lost sight of who he was, eventually collapsing on his own drugged state of mind. After his defeat, angels siding with the corrupt robot were pinned down by the good angels and set them all into a colossal asteroid, locked deep inside it. Despite his imprisonment, Luciferius takes pride in his act and renames himself Megatronus Convoy. Megatronus sends out a projection of himself to take the guise of a snake to trick Eve into eating the forbidden fruit. This very act led to the downfall of the cosmos. Megatronus knew that he would do more damage with his persuasion than either Unicron or Primus. If brute force doesn't cut it, his cunning will. During the events of the Shirai Ryu Crusaders, Megatronus Convoy sees Shantae entering his realm. Considering the Korean War being tied to her family, he decides to taunt her with visions of her parents being involved in such horrors. He could even use Shantae's desperation to tamper her friendships with Ryoko, Talatia, Ryoko, and Kamui. The devil can even taunt Shantae about how little her parents meant to the Shirai Ryu, despite what its members would tell him otherwise. However, he could even try using others to do his bidding. This is where Etna and her allies come in. Megatronus Convoy persuaded them to take the Godzilla egg if they're successful in killing the half-genie. He could also use the Lin Kuei defending them off. Megatronus knows that the Lin Kuei and Misalika's socialist military are not allies, yet he'll still use them without knowing they're working for him. He doesn't need to have them join by his side. Just tell them a little lie and they'll buy into it. Following Shantae and her mother's departure, Megatronus Convoy oversees the events throughout the Spiral Cold War era, including Misalika's defeat in Dark Redemption. Following the downfall of both Primus and Unicron, Megatronus Convoy realizes that Light and Dark Energon are almost depleted. He takes Sub-Zero's body and attempts using his newfound powers. He's not nearly as powerful, but is looking for ways to win in his fight against Spyro's team. His life force isn't as powerful as it used to be prior to his fall from grace. Searching throughout the cosmos, Spyro and his group find Megatronus with his remaining demonic forces by his side. They kept tracking him down until he couldn't keep running anymore. He decides to take his final stance at Artisans. Megatronus said he'll destroy Dragonus Nui if Spyro does not accept the challenge in a fight. The dragon accepts. Spyro and his crew fought the devil with as much force as they could. It turns out that they found out the only truthful thing Megatronus Convoy ever said prior to his downfall from heaven. Satan was the creator of the Revelos Star all along.
They lied to you, Slayer.
Megatronus Convoy revealed after 2 rounds of each side won that he was originally Primacronus, an intergalactic scientist who used the forces of good and evil to shape the universe as he sees fit. Despite his attempts to contain it, the Revelos Star was getting too powerful. Its sparks spat all over the cosmos. Even Primacronus couldn't withstand the powers he failed to keep hold of. Despite this, he reincarnated himself into Luciferia's convoy to masquerade as an angel under Primus's lead to fight against Unicron. The original creator himself lost bits of his memory of who he was prior to the reincarnation. Despite this, he still believes he is the original creator, going about his claims that he's better than Primus and Unicron combined. Knowing the truth, Spyro still insisted in destroying Megatronus Convoy because if Primus and Unicron became totalitarian figures, then so did Megatronus. He and his allies, conservative, liberal, or moderate, are all against their dictatorships. The heroes finish off Megatronus Convoy with his very last spark and perishes. The universe celebrates Spyro's success and live on in an era of universal prosperity. And Conker gets to finish his second term before Banjo ruins everything in 1998. Megatronus Convoy, the fallen angel, the light bearer of Primus. Or so he seems at first. During the intense phase of the war between Primus and Unicron, Luciferia's convoy enters battle to thwart the Dark God and place him in a deep slumber in a planet which came to be Nibiru. The angel himself was seen as the most perfect of all convoys, but his hubris motivated him to challenge Primus the same way he did Unicron. The creation of humans and so on threw him off so badly, he plotted a rebellion to take over heaven. The rebellion ended in failure. His use of energon fusion led him to an insane hatred that fried his brain further, which was his greatest downfall. Being cast down into a giant asteroid which came to be Yalhelrix, Megatronus Convoy sought the destruction of all sentient life through temptation and deceit, a tactic which Primus and Unicron have shied away from. The old serpent himself spewed his seeds of lies and hatred through several life forms in order to bring the worst in Primus and Unicron, essentially bringing more division than either could have done. His old form lies in the bottom of Yalhelrix, where ice and snow cover the last circle, the circle of traitors. Frozen up to his waist, the devil bot wept in his tears which froze the land. He swept his wings to escape it, only making it more difficult to do so. Megatronus Convoy has waited for the moment he's released so he can kill the gods and become the master of the universe himself. Now that we have our final episode completed, there isn't really anything else to write about this series. After all, this is where it'll lead to the production.
Not done yet!
There will be 2 more revisits, but new info to include. I realize that my Spyro video is the most outdated compared to the rest, so I'll give it some info on that. I'm aware there are some episodes that will probably be a little bit outdated, but they're very little compared to what Spyro has, specifically the Genie lore and such. Other than that, as well as President Conker, thank you for watching the Megatronic Legacy writing series. As soon as I complete the 2 revisits, I will begin the production on 1983's Norgarchy. It's going to be a wild ride, but one worth doing. Feel free to subscribe and like it if you enjoy this content, as well if you're new, and I'll check you all next time. Over and out.